Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about full-time travel housing options. And a lot of people ask us in the comments, don't they?
Yep, where you live.
Where do you stay? How do you stay in places for so long? So we're going to share with you lots of different options. Some of these we use, some of these we do not use. But we have friends who travel full-time and they have used these. And, a lot of them swear by some of these.
Yeah, so we mostly use Airbnb, and we are in an Airbnb right now.
In Japan.
We're in Osaka, Japan right now, and in an Airbnb. And the reason that we use Airbnb for full-time travel is that you do get great discounts on Airbnb when you stay somewhere for a month or longer. So 28 days is the break-off. Go to your Airbnb app and start searching for, do a 2-week trip somewhere, look at what it costs for 2 weeks, and then look at what it costs you for 28 days. A lot of times it's the same. So you're getting sometimes half off. And the thing is that not all listings will be like that, but Airbnb does allow the renters to give you a weekly discount or a monthly discount. And of the thousands of listings in any one city, you only need one good deal. So you're gonna find somebody that's offering a pretty good monthly discount to stay at their property, and that's what we did here in Osaka. So we are staying here for around $1,200 per month, and that works out to $40 a night. Can't touch a hotel for that anywhere. So
yeah,
that's what we end up doing.
Yeah, and it's amazing because like your internet is included, your water, electricity. We always get Airbnbs with kitchens, which is one of the reasons why we get Airbnbs, because if you're staying somewhere for a month, you don't necessarily want to eat out every night. It gets old real quick, right? So we like to cook and, be able to go to the local grocery stores wherever we are. So that is usually why we choose Airbnb. And one of the big things that helps us out a lot to not have all those nightmare stories about Airbnb is we rent only from Superhosts.
Yeah, you have to rent with Superhosts. When you rent with a Superhost on Airbnb, they're going to take care of any problem you have because they don't want to lose their Superhost status. So you're just not going to have any issues. And you hear bad things from other people about it. They haven't rented from a Superhost, and they just tried to take the cheapest possible way. Superhost will be a little bit more expensive, but in the long term, when none of your listing or none of your rentals have any problems over a couple-year period, it'll be worth it to not have to redo things and have major issues along the way.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the next one is one that a lot of people utilize in order to make their money go a little bit farther, and that is house sitting. And there are various platforms for this. It's not something that we've done before and don't intend to do because just because of health issues, we can't stay with animals. But house sitting is really pet sitting, and you're staying in somebody's home. In exchange, it's free, but in exchange, you're taking care of their animals for them, and sometimes doing a few things around the house for them as well, like cleaning or watering plants and things like that. So this is just an exchange system. It's not, there's no money exchanged here. It's just you're staying there for your service of taking care of their animal.
Yeah, and I think this one is kind of misconstrued a lot by people because the house sitting sounds great. Like, oh, you're just going to stay in this house for someone for a month and you'll just turn on the lights and run the water for them. Not the case at all. You're feeding a dog 3 times a day and you can't leave. You're walking the dog. So you're really a live-in pet sitter is what you are. And that's really why we've shied away from doing this one. Now, granted, it can, if you are going to be in a place that's very expensive or you just can't find something, it is free. So there is that. But our recommendation would be just go somewhere a little bit cheaper and just rent the place, because you're basically working as a pet sitter, and we would rather just work on our own businesses than do that and pay the money for a place. But it does work for a lot of people. So if you're in a situation where it works for you, it can be a good option.
Yeah, and I mean, the other kind of couple downsides are obviously your schedule is going to be dictated by the animal. that you're tending, and also where you're staying is dictated by where this person's home is. Oftentimes they're not in the city centers, they're outside, and sometimes they will let you use their car, sometimes they won't. So, you know, there's the cost of maybe renting a car to get into town, or public transportation and all that kind of stuff. So there are some things to work out with it. It's not a perfect, you know, system, but it is an option if, you know, you're not sure that you want to not interact with children, with you know, animals, and you want to be able to experience being a, you know, dog owner or a cat owner or whatever while you're traveling, and it gives you that, you know, kind of free place to stay. The next one is called Workaway, and there are actually various companies that do that. This is Workaway is probably the most popular, that is used the most, again, by a lot of friends of ours who travel full time. And it's what it sounds like. Basically, it's kind of like the house sitting, but you're working in exchange for free housing. So if you were working at, like, you know, like an elephant park or something, nature park, and you're working, helping with the elephants, doing all the stuff in exchange for free housing in Thailand, that's a pretty good deal. Or, you know, working at a farm in exchange for free housing in Norway, which happens to be fairly expensive to stay in. So Workaway gives you those opportunities all over the world to be able to stay for free in exchange for some work.
Next one is in the U.S., and getting housing in the United States for full-time travel is one of the most difficult things to do. There's a few kind of tricks and tips we've done over the years where we've been able to get pretty cheap housing. If you use Airbnb in the United States right now and try to stay for a month, it's going to be pricey. Unless you're just in a pretty remote area, you're going to pay at least a couple $1,000s, closer to $3,000 in most areas. But there is a company called Hello Landing. I think it's hellolanding.com. You can just Google Hello Landing. And they have a program where they rent out unused apartment buildings that are furnished to people. And basically, you get to pick from any apartment they have in the country. You move in, and then if someone rents that apartment, you are given 3 days notice to move out, and you can just pick from any other furnished apartment in the country. The cost is about $1,500 a month, I believe. So it's a pretty good program for people that have complete flexibility, need to spend some time in the U.S. and want to maybe move around the country. Combine that with some train travel or something, and you've got a good little system there.
Yeah. So the next one is living on a cruise ship, which we just did for 45 days. We lived on a number of cruise ships, but we just went from cruise ship to cruise ship with no hotel stays in between. And you know, that's the beauty of this lifestyle, is you can do any of these different things, just combine them all, and it just depends on what your price range is. If you want to stay on the higher end, on the lower end, or you can fluctuate in between them, stay for free in order to pay for doing something like living on a cruise ship.
Yeah, and the sweet spot for living on a cruise ship is getting like 15-day transatlantic cruises. You can generally get those for about $1,500, which includes your housing and your food. So if you do that twice in a month, that's going to be $3,000. Throw in all the tips and the taxes, it's about $4,000. $4,000 for a month for everything. It's pretty good. So that's what we did. And probably that month, 45 days is about as long as we'd want to do it. We'll do it again in the future, though, once we've had a little time on land.
Maybe not 45 days.
So that was good. And then we've got getting a lease in a foreign country. And this can be harder, but it is definitely cheaper when you move to a country. If you have to get a lease there, you're going to need to have a visa. That's the difficult part. Once you get a visa, you can get a lease in a foreign country. But we don't recommend doing that right away because it kind of limits where you're going to be. Then you need to stay there year round. So we have shied away from getting a 1-year lease because we just don't want to lock ourselves into that right now.
Yeah. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys as you're planning it out, trying to figure that out. You can do a little bit of research on each one of these. We'll continue to bring you videos like this here on the channel, so don't forget to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you can be alerted every time that we post a new video. Leave us any questions you have about any of these in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.